Okay. Thank you everybody for coming here today. Welcome to the Traffic and Transportation Decision Meeting. I'm Councillor Lynn Stagg, Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation. Got some housekeeping information. If the continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room and public gallery by the stairwells. Do not attempt to use the lifts. Please assemble at the Queen Victoria statue in front of the civic offices. In order to comply with the Portsmouth Cultural Trust fire marshal regulations, anyone who signed in at the Guildhall reception desk should remember to sign out when leaving the building after today's meeting. May I draw everyone's attention to the fact that this meeting will be live streamed from a camera at a fixed location at the back of the meeting room, and the recording will be on the Council's website. The camera will mainly capture the backs of anyone making deputations, but there will be some footage of them as they approach and leave the table where the microphones are located, and of people entering or leaving the room whilst the meeting is in progress. Members of the press and public are also permitted to record the meeting on the understanding that it neither disrupts the meeting nor records those, stating explicitly that they do not wish to be recorded. Please can everyone use the microphones provided when they are speaking. Right, we better introduce ourselves, and we.
Councillor Yahya Chaudhry from the Labour Party.
Joe Smith, Democratic Services.
Pam Turton, Transport, Portsmouth City Council. Felicity Tibbury, Transport Planning Manager, Portsmouth City Council.
Nikki Musson, Transport Planning Team.
Wayne Layton, Finance Manager, Portsmouth City Council.
Thank you. Are there any apologies?
Councillor Bosher has sent his apologies for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any declarations of interest, Yaya?
No.
Okay, thank you. Right, we're going to change the order slightly because Councillor Lyne is doing a deputation. And I think, are you the only person? Perhaps it's somebody else who's making a deputation. You're not, okay. So in order to be able to go quickly. So we go on to, have I missed anything out? That's okay. No. Right, we'll go on to item number 4, agenda item number 4, which is proposed residence parking zone, FH, Twyford Avenue. And who's going to present that? Is it Felicity? Thank you.
Thank you. So this report is for TRO 76 2018 Twyford Avenue Residence Parking Zone. The northern dead end of Twyford Avenue, adjacent to the Mountbatten Leisure Centre, appears on the current residence parking programme, and therefore an informal survey was undertaken in June-July 2018. 8 of the 18 survey forms were completed and returned, showing 75% of those who responded were in favour of permit parking and 25% against. Following the positive response to the informal survey, a formal statutory consultation was undertaken via TRO 76 2018 from the 31st of July to the 22nd of August 2018, proposing a parking zone. The June-July 2018 informal survey showed that 75% of residents who responded were in favour of a permit scheme. The majority of parking problems occurred during the afternoon, evening and overnight, and the main reason for given for the parking problems was close proximity to the Mountbatten Centre. In response to the informal survey, the formal consultation under TRO 76 2018 proposed a parking zone to operate as FH permit holders only between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. daily. 4 responses were received to the formal TRO consultation in support, objection and or asking for clarification on some points raised, and these are included within the report. The information received from residents during both the informal and formal consultations have been considered and has informed the recommendation. So the recommendation is that the residence parking zone proposed under the Traffic Regulation Order 76/2018 is implemented as advertised for FH permit holders only 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. Councillor Lyne, would you like now to make your deputation? You have 6 minutes.
I don't think I'll take that long, but thank you, Councillor Stagg, and thank you for bringing this item forward. My point that I wanted to make, or a number of them, was simply first that, as anyone can see from a map of the area, there are 5 zones, or 6 zones already, and and FH will make an eighth. But there's a large part of that area which does not currently have a parking scheme. They were last consulted about it in 2012, and I suspect, given that they are now the overflow car park for the rest of the area, were they to be consulted again, we might get a different result from the 2012 survey. I also think, I may be wrong, that the proposed FH was part of that original consultation in 2012, where if you were going to give 18 households the right to decide whether or not they wanted their cars outside their property to be protected, you should have done it to the rest of that area. And I believe that what this will do is continue to exacerbate the problem of overflow parking in that area. I also believe that the loss of the number 17 bus route, or at least whatever is going to happen to it, will make travel by car more of an imperative for those people living in precisely the area that is not covered by the parking zone. What I would like the Cabinet member to consider, please, is by all means make it a parking zone, a control parking zone, but also at the same time initiate a full consultation of the area that is not currently covered, because I believe those people, I've had a number of deputations from individuals, residents who are tearing their hair out, unable to park in various places, and they feel that taking the top end of Twyford away, given that most of the road, and particularly the area that isn't currently within a parking zone, is double yellow lines on Twyford Avenue. That's also quite a lot of people living there, so they're parking on Strode Road and Grinniston Road and Jarvis Road, and others, or trying to find other areas. And of course we have into the other side, we have an overflow into Orioles and Shadwells and Ophir and Gladys Avenue. And the problem that we have when we introduce a parking zone is it's great for the people who live there and pretty awful for those who don't. And my deputation is simply that in order to demonstrate some kind of fairness, and 18 people, if you think about it, they're going to spend £30 each, possibly their second car, but you're talking £500 a year revenue, and are you really telling me that it only costs £20 a week to enforce in order actually to make this a self-financing operation? I don't think it does. So ultimately, first of all, I think financially it isn't viable, and I also think that we need to ensure that people who are going to be further dispossessed of parking elsewhere are consulted as soon as possible to see whether we can't get the whole area zoned, because I think it's leaving a lot of residents feeling dispossessed and that the system is unfair.
Thank you. Does anybody want to... Nikki, would you want to make a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make a couple of points in response, if I may. Twyford Avenue, the northern dead end, wasn't included in the previous surveys, either of the area south of Mountbatten Centre or Tipner, which is the area to the west. It was always treated separately. It was identified for survey in 2010, but unfortunately the programme at the time was then put on hold in 2012. So it's taken some time for it to be surveyed. And during that time, obviously Tipner and the area south of Mountbatten have been surveyed, and they've rejected residents parking twice. And the reason they haven't appeared on a programme since then is we don't have very many requests from that area. So it would be, if you do have, if you can encourage any residents that express concern about parking to contact us, we can obviously record their request then. It gives us an idea of where people would like residents parking. And as I say, the current programme of consultation that was approved in July includes a mechanism to survey areas where people say, actually, we would like permit parking now. So it may be possible in the future, if there's a demand, that we can survey them to see if they've changed their opinions. With regards to enforcement costs, I've spoken to the parking manager, and obviously The majority of that dead end of Twyford Avenue is double yellow lines, which they enforce at the moment. And the proposed parking zone doesn't include a free parking period, and therefore it's more efficient for the enforcement guys to carry out enforcement, because they only have to give each car up to 10 minutes. So it's a similar type of enforcement as to double yellow lines, which is more efficient. And then that provides a more effective parking zone for the people that have paid for permits. Okay.
Thank you, Nikki. Wayne, do you want to make a comment on the financial side?
Only to say it's incredibly difficult to sort of financially appraise these residence parking zones. But I think the overarching principle is that they're not there in order to make money, and not every scheme will cover their costs. And they're made for non-financial reasons, effectively.
Can I just add a few things? First of all, we only consider residence parking when residents ask for it. It's not imposed at all, which is why the other areas have not been asked while this was being done, because they haven't actually asked for it. However, we agreed back in July that if surrounding areas suffer displacement and they ask for residence parking, they can be surveyed.
To interrupt,
You're not supposed to, but
I was just
I'll allow
wondering, I
you
was
to.
going to ask one question, which is
Yeah.
how many people need to make a request in order for it to happen? So, how does one calculate the need in terms of numbers?
I think
You can answer that.
I think if we look back historically, 4 out of 32 residence parking zones were extended due to displacement parking, which indicates that it's not an automatic outcome of a residence parking that there will be displacement. So it does depend on basically feedback from residents. So if we get 1 or 2, that complain about displaced parking, for example, in Stamford, the southern part of Tipner, nearest the parking zone, there are 4 or 5 residents there that when they were surveyed were supported permit parking, and they still do, but they're in a minority. So I think if we suddenly started getting emails from a lot of residents saying we really would like another survey, then we would carry one out.
A survey goes out to find out what sort of support there would be. And if there is enough support, then they will be consulted. And it's only then, when you get the result of that, if there is a majority in favour of residence parking, will it be implemented. And the other thing I wanted to say is what we're doing at the moment as well is picking up where residents asked for residence parking back maybe in 2012, and it was all put on hold. They still wanted, this is some of the other areas, they've been crying out for it. So we're resurveying and reconsulting with those. And if people don't want it, it doesn't get put in. But we find out how much response there is, how much support there is by doing the initial survey. I think I'm right there, aren't I? Councillor Chowdhury, have you got any?
Yes, overall, most of the time I visit North End, Twyford Avenue. There is overcrowded peoples plus too many cars. People are struggling. And if we impose the residential parking zone, I think, according to what I hear from the deputation and my experience, it will be make difficult for the other residents surrounding area. So I could not take the recommendation only for today. Otherwise, I always do officer recommendations. That's all.
Any other comments from anybody? We're not trying to ride roughshod over people. They asked for this back in 2012. We're very aware that there will be displacement. And I think that the new parking zones we're creating are a much wider area anyway, so there is more flexibility, rather than just having one road where, you have residence parking and that restricts you. But if you have a bigger area, the chances of finding a parking space is very good. And I think we've got to actually address the problem that we have too many vehicles in Portsmouth. It's as simple as that. That's why we have the parking problems we have. So, I'm in favour of this, but I take on board your point, and they will certainly be taken into account. So if the residents surrounding the area do ask for to be surveyed, they will be. I mean, when, I don't know, because I know Nikki and her team are really hard pushed at the moment with so much work to do, but they will certainly be surveyed. So I'm happy to accept the officer's recommendations. Thank you. Go back to item number 3, which is double yellow lines in Fair Oak Road and Battenberg Avenue. So is it you, Felicity? Thank you.
Thank you. So this is for TRO 53, 2018, Fair Oak Road and Battenberg Avenue. So a number of proposals relating to parking restrictions are put forward throughout each year in response to concerns or suggestions from residents, councillors, emergency services and public transport operators, or in relation to new developments, for example. When objections are received to the Council's proposals, a report to the Cabinet member is required in a public meeting such as this. During the statutory 21-day public consultation on the proposals under TRO 53/2018, objections were received to the proposals for Fair Oak Road and Battenberg Avenue. So for Fair Oak Road, new double yellow lines were proposed in Fair Oak Road to manage the parking and ensure traffic can get through. Sheraton Road is a cul-de-sac that can only be accessed via Fair Oak Road, and residents provided evidence showing that they are often unable to get through due to badly parked non-resident cars visiting the popular park area adjacent to Fair Oak Road. For Battenberg Avenue, a resident asked Portsmouth City Council to consider reducing the double yellow lines in Battenberg Avenue near to its junction with Randolph Road to create more parking. 3 residents who lived there objected to the proposals and made an alternative suggestion which can be accommodated. Therefore, the recommendations contained within the report are as follows. Recommendation 2.1, that the double yellow lines under the proposed TRO 53/2018 in Fair Oak Road are implemented as advertised. Recommendation 2.2, that the reduction of double yellow lines proposed under TRO 53/2018 in Battenberg Avenue near its junction with Randolph Road is not implemented in full, but that the 6-metre length of double yellow lines is removed from across the driveway between numbers 38 and 40 Battenberg Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. Councillor Chowdhury.
Yes.
I think that would satisfy all the residents who've made any suggestions or complaints. So, yes, I'm happy to go along with the officer's recommendation. And what is our next one? What? Have I got everything done, or am I missing something? Pardon? Yeah, right, okay, that's fine. I thought I had more. That's it, is it? Excellent. Well done. Thank you, everybody.